Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in here live. We're going to be starting within the next couple of minutes. So please make sure that as you're coming in, that you have a notepad with you, that you have a pen with you, because as soon as we get started, we have about 5 minutes until we get started. So until then, get yourself prepared. I'm looking forward to leading session 1 of Launch, the 5 keys to successfully launching your business to a new playing field. So hang tight. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. Okay. All right. So it looks like we are live. I've just tested everything. So if you're watching this video via recording, then you can go ahead and fast forward until we get started in about 4 minutes. Otherwise, we're just going to wait for people to get on board, and we'll start at 12 o'clock. Hello, welcome. For those of you that are just getting on board, we're going to be getting started within the next 3 minutes. We'll be starting at 12 on the dot. So please make sure that what you have ready with you is your notepad and your pen if you want to take notes. For those of you that have access to this recording, of course, you're always more than welcome to fast forward through this video or rewind through the video as we get started. Okay? For those of you that also want to comment on what's happening in the webinar, if you've got any questions, you're always more than welcome to scroll down on the Facebook page. At the very bottom, there's a section for comments. In that section, you're more than welcome to send me a question, comment on something, and we'll have an opportunity to address all of those questions at the very end of the webinar. So like I said, we're going to be getting started within the next 2 minutes, so welcome. I see some of you are getting online now, so thank you for joining us. And please make sure that you have with you a notebook and a pen to take notes if you'd like to. We have about 1 minute until we get started here. Okay, everybody, let's get started. I show that it's 12 o'clock on my watch, and really welcome to this accelerating, incredible webinar specifically designed for C-suite entrepreneurs like yourself. And I'm going to be from time to time taking the time to look at my notes down here, so you might see me looking down, but for the most part, I'm going to try to have my attention looking straight at you. and really thank you for trusting the opportunity to participate in something that's going to educate you in how to launch your business to an entirely new playing field. My name is Eric Rojas. I'm the person that's going to be facilitating this webinar, and I've specifically designed this webinar to be something very simple and at the same time productive. So a simple yet productive approach at taking your business into a new playing field. There's two different groups of people that are participating in this webinar. There's one group of people, and this group of people that's participating, you might be yourself an entrepreneur. Either you have a business that you already have established, or you're an entrepreneur that's just getting established and you're just getting your business up and running, and you're really looking at taking either what you have to offer as a service or what you have to offer as a product and really expanding your capacity to be more effective with what you do. Then there's another group of people that's participating in this webinar, and those groups of people are coaches. And I've invited coaches to participate in this webinar as an opportunity as well to expand your capacity to be effective with what you do as a coach. So you can be a life coach, you may be a health coach, you might be a dating or relationships coach. There's many different types of those people that as well are participating in this webinar. I am actually going to get into the possibility of being a coach in just a couple of minutes. But before I do that, I do want to take an opportunity to introduce myself for those of you that do not know who I am. Some of you may be watching this video live, and some of you may be watching this video as a recording. So like I said, my name's Eric Rojas. I am a successful business coach in San Diego, California. And within 3 months of having opened my own personal coaching company, my company generated close to $30,000 in revenues. And it's my intention to leave my clients producing exceptional and outstanding results with their business ventures. So I really do have a passion for empowering entrepreneurs, and I take my model and what I've done and train other entrepreneurs and business owners to do the same. I've been actively coaching people since 2008, and in my nearly 7 years of coaching people, I've interacted with close to 13,000 people about their personal life and their professional life. It's my dream, it's my passion, you could say, to empower people in pursuing their dreams, whether they be professionally or personally. And it's really allowed for my success in being able to coach people in that way. So I really do love what I do. So with that, I'd like to get started. And like I said, I designed this webinar from the perspective that this is going to be a simple yet a very productive approach at taking your business to a new level. And specifically, I designed it from the perspective of being a coach. So I personally don't recommend that you coach people as a profession. I say that, and I don't mean it lightly. I really do mean it. I don't recommend that you yourself take on coaching people unless it's something that you're committed to constituting yourself as a coach. It is who you are, it's your passion, and you love doing it. Otherwise, what I'm really talking about is you considering being a coach with how you run your business, you being a coach with how do you live your life, with being a coach with how you interact with the people in your life, whether they be professionally or personally. So that's what I'm actually talking about. I invite you to consider that the way in which I designed this webinar is that in order for you to be successful with your business, you're going to need to be a coach. Again, not professionally, not like it's your profession, rather be a coach as what's in the background. It exists in the background for you to be successful with what you do. So let's see if you can, for a moment, imagine your favorite coach. And see if you can picture who that person is. It might be a mentor of yours. It might be somebody that you really respect. It could be somebody that you consider to be the real deal, walking, talking demonstration of someone who's really created and constituted their entire life as their own creation. So see if you can, for a moment, picture that person. And I want you to see if you can, for a moment, identify how does that person behave, right? How does that person behave? How does that person interact with people? How do they work? And see if you can ask yourself and think about what is it exactly that you admire about this person. So see if you can as well identify what that is. See if you can picture that person. Now I want you to see if you can imagine yourself, you yourself living your life like a real deal coach, like the walking, talking demonstration of what a life coach is. See if you can, for a moment, imagine yourself running your business in that manner. You're going to notice that there starts to be a particular way of viewing life and a particular way of viewing your business that starts to arise. You'll notice that there are ways of being, there are ways of behaving in your business, and there's ways of behaving and being in your life that might have not occurred for you beforehand had you not constituted yourself as a coach. I want you to see if you can notice what you would change about how you work if you were being counted on to be a real deal walking, talking demonstration coach like the coach you admire. See if you can notice what changes with your health. Like, how do you take care of your health and your well-being when you're being entrusted to be a real deal life coach? See what notices, see what you can notice about how you interact with your clients. See if you can notice in how you interact with your potential clients, with the people that you're in relationships with. See if you can notice what changes when you constitute yourself as the kind of coach that is out there in life, interacting with people. So I invite you to listen to the entire webinar from the perspective of you being a coach. So I invite you to listen to this entire webinar from the perspective of you being a coach that lives in the background. Now, I'm not talking about you being a coach like a professional. I really am talking about you considering being a coach for the people in your business, being a coach for the people in your life from that perspective. So I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to see if there's anybody that has any questions up to this point, or if everybody can hear me all right. Just stand by. Okay. All right. So it looks like all is clear. All right. So I want to bring up a real issue, a real problem that we have in our hands here. And that issue and that problem that we're going to say, that I'm going to talk about here, is that statistically, more than half, in fact, nearly 70% of all entrepreneurs that jump on board to taking on a business venture fail. So if we were to line up 10 people here, you know, there's 10 people, for every 10 people that's participating in this webinar, 7 will fail. 7 with their business venture. That's radical. And I certainly don't have the answer for why that's the case. At least I don't have the answer like it's the truth. But I do for certain have a strong view, and a strong view as to why that is the case. And we're going to talk about that here. So perhaps you could say that the biggest pitfall to being an entrepreneur and failing as an entrepreneur is because the most challenging aspect of being an entrepreneur is being your own boss. And a lot of people choose to go into being their own boss or being an entrepreneur for many reasons. And you hear people say, I just want to be able to create my business the way I want to create it. I want to be my own boss, right? But that perhaps is the most challenging aspect of this whole ballgame of being an entrepreneur. So being your own boss is challenging. There's nobody to hold you to account for producing your results. You can make a promise to yourself. There's nobody pressing you to produce a result for the company. There's an easy way out. Now, on the contrary, there are extraordinary and exceptional rewards for being your own boss and for being an entrepreneur. We're talking about the opportunity to create your own schedule, the opportunity to grow exponentially at your own rate, at your own pace, the opportunity for you to continue to transform who you are, the opportunity for you to continue to transform who you are as an entrepreneur, the opportunity for you to establish your own brand. All of these are extraordinary rewards, and we're not even mentioning all the rewards of being an entrepreneur and being your own boss. So in my experience and in my working with the thousands of people that I've worked with, I've come to find out that there really are 5 simple keys to successfully taking your business to an entirely new level. Okay, 5 keys that are going to take your business or your coaching company or what you have to offer to an entirely new playing field. Those 5 keys are as follows: vision, strategy, management, relationships, and execution. So I'm going to say those again. Those are vision, strategy, management, relationships, and execution. We're going to get into the first key today, and in fact, we're only going to cover the first key today. I do also want to say that I had allocated that this webinar is going to take approximately 90 minutes. It's likely that we won't take up the full 90 minutes, but I want to make sure that we have the space that if people have a lot of questions, that they have the opportunity to get those questions answered. And it's likely that we will end before the 90 minutes happens, okay? But we've allocated the appropriate time just in case. So let's get into the first key. The first key is vision. Now, developing and creating a vision has many particles to it. You've heard this many times. Well, you've heard it, you might have heard it in different forms, like creating a vision, creating a mission statement, creating a possibility, taking a stand for something. There's many ways to talk about creating a vision, right? And we're going to talk about it from this perspective. Creating a vision is like an umbrella, and you don't stop creating a vision. In fact, you ongoingly create a vision, and we're going to talk about the importance of making it a routine. So where we're going to start with is your 5-year umbrella, your 5-year vision. And this is where you're going to need a piece of paper, because you're going to have you can use this on your laptop, you can write this down wherever you want to write this down, but this is where you're going to have the opportunity to really begin to create this. You may not have the opportunity to have everything fully formulated out of leaving here, but certainly you can at least have the fundamentals, the skeleton. Remember, I'm committed that what you come away with from this webinar is a real skeleton from for your business, okay? The fundamental mechanics. So here we are, it's the end of February. We're going into March. In fact, we're going into the last month of the first quarter of 2015. And I want you to, for a moment, picture yourself same time, 2020. So 5 years go by. There's all the goals that you have for 2016, all the goals for 2017, all the goals for 2018, all the goals for 2019, and then there you are, February 2020. So just for a moment, see if you can place yourself there. You might have all kinds of things coming up for you. You might be anxious, you might be excited, you might have big visions and big aspirations, big things that you're really committed to accomplishing or taking on, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to grab that piece of paper, and I want you for a moment just begin to write down in bullet points, where do you see yourself? Just very simply, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself as a businesswoman? Where do you see yourself as a businessman? Where do you see yourself personally? I mean, really, think to yourself, like, who am I for myself? How's your health? How's your family? How's your spiritual life? Ask yourself, how are my relationships? Where do I stand financially? So we're going to take the next, let's say, 4 minutes, and I want you to really take the moment and take the time to bullet point where you see yourself. You might notice you have some thoughts that come to your mind about, well, I really like that, but I don't know if it's possible. You might have visions or dreams that you might think of that you might say, well, I really hope it happens. Or you might think to yourself, I need to get realistic here and list things. No, I want you to go unconstrained. If you had it the way you want to create your life, what would be there? So take a moment to do that, and then we'll move into the next piece in just a moment. Just take a moment, just let it all out, let everything go there. If you find yourself stopped, like you're complete, you have written everything that there is for you to write, see if you can identify what else. Ask yourself, what else? What else is there? Okay? If you have too much and you find yourself, I have a lot of things, I really would like to type this up, I highly recommend that you do that. In fact, I highly recommend that you create a file at some point after this call, after this webinar, after watching this recording, for those of you that are watching a recording, that you take a file and you really create it. Your 5-year vision for yourself is what's at the top of the umbrella. Okay, that is what gives you the rest of what you're going to create. Okay, so now that you've created yourself in creating your 5-year vision, what you're going to do now is there's your business and who you are as an entrepreneur. So there's your 5-year vision, and then there's your business and your business mission, your business vision. They work hand in hand. So this doesn't go without that, that doesn't go without that. They work together to then create the other elements of your vision. As an entrepreneur, that's how this works, okay? So as an entrepreneur, here you are, you have this business, so you've created your vision, you have the things that really matter to you, at least you have a couple things that really matter to you that you're really committed to taking on and addressing. Then you have your business and where you see your business and the ultimate vision for your business. So with regards to developing a mission for your business, it's important that you create, before anything, ask yourself, how are you going to make the world a better place out of what you have to offer? I promise you, the more you make the world a better place, the more your business will grow. We want to put our attention on making the world a better place, making a world that works to be like number one. That's what gives you your actions, it's what gives you your being. So ask yourself, what am I doing that's making the world a better place with what I do? Start with your target audience. You know, you have a specific target audience. You have a specific group of people that you're really speaking to from what you have to offer, right? So ask yourself, okay, well, given that what I have to do, how is this making my target audience's life or my target audience's world a better place? See if you can expand it a little bit bigger then. How is what I'm doing making my community a better place? It can be because of what you have to offer. It can be because of a product that you have that's really going to make the community a better place. What is it? How is it making it better? You want to take a moment to really write this down as well for yourself. And then see if you can make it go bigger, right? So expanding it to the entire world. How would the world benefit out of you having been there, offering what you have to offer? How did the world end up being better? What type of legacy did you leave out of having what you have to offer, being offered, delivered, whatever it is, right? The other question that you want to ask yourself is that there's a problem that what you have to offer really solves. So what do I mean by that? What you have to offer, and whether it be a service or whether it be a product or whether it be something that you have to do in your coaching field, there's something unique that you have to offer that solves a unique problem. There's a problem out there. People are dealing with something, but you have a unique gift and you're going to solve that problem. What is that problem that you're solving? And see if you can also articulate what that problem is that you're solving. Again, you want it to grab your notepad, you want to grab your notebook and pen, and you really want to start writing down, what is this that I'm actually working on? What is this that I'm actually solving? With regards to your business, you want to ask yourself as well. So just imagine yourself, right? You make this tremendous impact in people's lives, right? I want you to imagine yourself being a public figure representing your company or your brand. How would you want to be perceived? Or said another way, you know, if you were representing your company or your brand or what you have to offer as a public figure, how would you want to be known? What would you want to be known for? So I want you to take a couple of minutes to really pause and really take a couple of minutes to articulate what you're creating here, to really write it down. And again, anywhere from how are you making the world a better place out of what you have to offer, whether starting with your target audience, moving into the community, moving into the world, what problem are you solving? And then if you were really got yourself to be that kind of figure out in the world, how would you want to be known? How would you want to be perceived? So I want you to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to step away for just a minute or two, and then when we come back, we're going to keep moving on to the other aspects of your umbrella of visions, okay? So please take a moment to do that now. Okay. Just another minute. I'm just going to take a moment to make sure that everybody's following. Okay, so here you are. You created your beginning. You probably don't have this fully created, but for certain, you're beginning to create your 5-year vision, right? And then you're beginning to create your other aspect of it, which is your mission as an entrepreneur, your mission as a business owner. These two work together. They come hand in hand, right? Then you're working on your umbrella, everything else that you're working on. So one of the things that you want to work on at this point, given that you have that umbrella and you have that aspect of it, you want to ask yourself, okay, well, here I am. I've created this great 5-year vision. Now what? Well, this is where the routine aspect of this comes in. Every year, at the beginning of the year, we say at the beginning of the year because that happens to be how it works, right? Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 completes the year. We start a whole new year. So every single year, when you walk into the year, what you want to do at this point is you want to then create, all right, well, what am I going to accomplish? What am I creating this year? My yearly vision that is going to accomplish, it's going to fulfill on, it's going to make a dent, it's going to leave a mark in my 5-year vision and in my company vision or my company mission. So what am I up to this year? There may be things that you are up to with in your 5-year vision that you're just simply not going to address this year, right? And as well, there may be things that you are going to take on with regards to your 5-year big vision that you are going to address this year. You're going to take those things on. You're going to go after accomplishing certain things. So with this, you want to take a moment at the beginning of the year and then create a different vision that actually is fulfilling on your 5-year vision and your business vision. It's something that's specific to this year. Your bigger vision, that's the umbrella. That's what lives in the background. It encompasses everything that you're taking on. But then there's your yearly vision that is simply talking about the next 4 quarters. So what are those things? What are those things that you're taking on or that you'd be creating for yourself? You want to take a moment to really write that down. You say, you might say to yourself, this year, I'm going to make a real mark, or I'm going to leave a real dent in what I'm creating. I'm going to make some real forward progress with this specific thing. Okay, so take a moment, ponder, really create for yourself what would be some of those things that you would actually start to accomplish. Your yearly vision may also include, by the way, accomplishments. So may include things that you want to actually accomplish this year. It may include milestones. So in the first quarter of the year, here's what I'm committed to accomplishing. In the third quarter of the year, here's who I'm going to be. And by then, I'm going to have accomplished this. What are those things? So take a couple of minutes to see if you haven't created a vision for the year for 2015, it's important that you do that. And it has to be different than your other visions. If you have already created a really thorough vision for the year, and now this is different than a New Year's resolution. This is something that you actually take the time to develop and create and articulate and really look at everything. If you haven't done that, I really do encourage you to do that. Take a couple minutes to do this. Probably about 2 minutes. See if you start to notice what comes up. If you did already create a specific vision for the year, then fine, that's great. You've already created a specific vision for the year. Then at this point, what there is for you to do is you can build on that. You can make changes, or you could just simply say, yep, I've created that already. I have a clear vision, clear pathway for what I'm doing. That's excellent if you've done that. Okay, so let's move on to the next piece. So don't get overwhelmed by the number of visions and the number of things that we're creating here. You have to remember that each aspect of what you're creating, each vision, everything that you're creating has a particular purpose. They all empower each other. So your big 5-year vision empowers what you're up to with your business. It breathes life into it. Your yearly vision breathes life into your big visions. So everything is feeding the other vision that you have. And it's important that you don't create just your 5-year vision and that's going to cut it. No, it's not, actually. We're going to get closer and closer to creating something that is actually going to impact your performance daily. So I'm going to use the example of moving into the second quarter. So given that we're completing the first quarter of the year, as an entrepreneur, it's important that how you plan your life and how you plan your businesses in quarters. Forever, for the rest of your life, you will plan and live your life in quarters. If who you are as an entrepreneur, there's the first quarter, there's the second quarter, there's the third quarter, there's the fourth quarter. We're going to get into the importance of managing your business. Like I said, there's an element of strategy and there's an element of management that we're going to get into in the other sessions of the webinar, where we actually are going to cover the importance of each specific quarter, the role that they play in your business. But we're going to given that we're about to complete the first quarter, and given that we're about to move into the second quarter of the year, at this point, you're going to want to start to create what you're up to in the second quarter. So what you do is you take your year vision, you take all your visions, but specifically you take the vision that you've created for the year, what you're out to accomplish for yourself this year. And then you say, all right, this quarter coming up, this second quarter, I'm looking at the next 13 weeks. This is going to extend all the way through June, through the end of June, and July starts the third quarter, right? So all through the end of June. What am I going to create in these next 3 months? What am I going to be up to? So I have all of April, I have all of May, I have all of June. What am I going to create? And how is the second quarter, how is what I'm going to accomplish in the second quarter going to forward what I've created for the year? So how is that going to forward that? You want to ask yourself. So you also want to ask yourself, okay, so here I am about to complete the first quarter of the year, right? You're completing the first quarter of the year. It's about to end. And what did I set out to accomplish in the first quarter that I did not accomplish? Or what did I set out to accomplish in the first quarter that over exceeded what I had initially created? So you always want to plan and create for a growth in your being, with your personal development, in your business, not just statistically with revenues, but also in who you are for yourself. So we're going to take a moment to create your second quarter of the year if you haven't done this yet. So here we are going into the second quarter. And by the way, for those of you that are watching, let's say that you're watching this video and you're really going into the fourth quarter, same thing. You're going into the following quarter. And ask yourself, what am I going to create this quarter? What is it going to be? So just take a minute to do this, to create. I want to also create with you, there's something that's super critical and super important when creating your quarter. So here you are, you're creating the second quarter of the year. It's important that you add specific items, and I'm going to go over those things in just a minute. So just take a moment to really think, what would be some of the things that what are some of the things that I'm committed to accomplishing in April, May, and June? What are some of the things that I'm really creating? Okay, I'm going to get into the specifics. So each quarter, when you start creating your vision for that specific quarter, you want to ask yourself a couple different things. So given that you move fast through quarters, right? So you move, the first quarter of the year is basically almost over, right? So you just flew past this. And there are some ineffective ways of being that you have that are impacting your business performance. So when you create the quarter, it's important that you ask yourself, what are going to be the ineffective ways of being that I'm out to change this quarter? Like, that's changing this quarter. That's over. That's done. Whatever it is. What are the ineffective ways of being? And they can be many. They could be that one of the ways of being that you might have is fear. You be afraid, and so you don't take any action. Or an ineffective way of being that you take on with your business might be I don't know. I can't think of any right now, but there's so many different ways of being, and you have yours for yourself. One that I constantly have to come up against and interrupt myself is being lazy. So I have to set myself up. If that's a way of being that I'm interrupting, I have to set myself up to take new actions or to be differently. So if that's something for you, then write it down, right? What are the ineffective ways of being that I'm going to let go of and change this quarter? For some of you, you have ineffective habits or bad habits, or you may have ineffective ways of behaving in your business that aren't forwarding what you're really up to creating. So if that's the case, you want to ask yourself, what habits and ways of behaving am I to change this quarter? So I'm going into April, May, June. What are the ineffective habits and ways of behaving that I'm going to change this quarter? Maybe you, as an entrepreneur, maybe you like to sleep in. Or the other way around, maybe you don't get enough sleep and it's critical. And maybe you're the kind of person that isn't getting enough sleep, and you wake up and then there you are in the middle of the day and you crash and you're super tired and you're ready for a nap. Maybe you need to sleep better. Whatever those habits are that you have that are ineffective, or whatever those ways of behaving that you have that are ineffective, what are those and how are you going to change those? So you want to ask yourself that. So you want to take some time, really write this down. And you know what those are. You know yourself better than anybody else does. The last element of what you want to create going into your quarter is, so given that I'm letting go of or I'm changing certain ways of being, certain habits and certain behaviors, what new ways of being and what new ways of behaving am I going to implement this quarter? So what are those? And I mean, like, really implement them, right? So when you go in to implement something, it takes something. You can't just say, I'm going to stop doing that. It takes something to implement something. You have to develop new brain patterns for thinking this way, new brain patterns for behaving this way. So how am I going to implement this? Maybe one of the things that you need to implement is taking care of your well-being. Maybe you aren't taking care of your body the way you really should be taking your body. So what you're going to do to implement this is you're going to start to take a yoga class, or you're going to do a sugar detox. There's so many different things that I recommend that you do to implement different things, whether they be personally, whether they be with your business, or whether they be with your health, with your spiritual life, with your relationships. All the different areas of your life, all those habits of your life impact your business performance as an entrepreneur. So the last set of visions that we're going to create is your weekly and your daily creations. Okay, so this is what you create every single week. If your week starts on a Monday, whenever your week starts, if your week starts on a Monday, if your week starts on a Tuesday, if you take Monday off, maybe your week starts on a Sunday or on a Saturday, whenever your week starts, you want to create what you're up to that week. You want to take on, and you want to grab the 3 items that I said, the ways of being, the behavior, the ways of being, the habits, and what you're implementing. You want to grab that, and you want to have that up on your face, so you can have it on your desktop. You can have it as part of your daily. You should have a daily routine that involves creating. That includes a weekly routine that involves creating. So you create. What am I up to this week? So I said that I was going to implement these ways of behaving. I was going to implement these ways of being. Did I do that last week? Yes, great. I'm going to build on that this week. Or no, I didn't do that actually. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the actions. I'm going to do this instead to support me with that. And then what are the milestones what are the things that I'm setting to accomplish? How many people am I going to speak to? How many new clients? What am I going to do? Like really setting your intention, setting your weekly and daily intentions. So you have your 5-year vision that's connected to your mission as a company, as an entrepreneur, and that spreads out to your yearly, quarterly, weekly and daily creations, right? You're ongoingly creating that. This is a system. It's a system that you follow. Why do you follow this? Well, because, creating a vision is something that you have to do ongoingly. You can't just expect that creating something one time is going to stick. It requires that you do this daily, weekly, so on and so forth. I highly recommend a couple different things. The first thing is I highly recommend that you create your year and your quarter with your team of people. So if you have a team of people in your business, that you really take the time to create a powerful year and a powerful quarter with your team. If you don't have a team of people that you work with, then I highly recommend that you sit down with some really great trusted colleagues or friends. It can be your think tank, it can be your mastermind, whatever it is, that you take the time to really create for yourself at least 2 to 4 hours to thoroughly create your year and your quarter. You want to really take the time to do this. And like I said, we're not going to have the time to do everything on this webinar because of time constraints, right? But really take the time to do this yourself. I then highly recommend that when you create your week and that when you create your day, that you create this with a coach. And I highly recommend having a coach. I have a coach. I can't create my week myself. If you don't have a coach, then a mentor, somebody to create this with, somebody that's going to hold you to account for what you're accomplishing, somebody that can see your blind spots or the things that you're not really seeing for yourself. You need that kind of structure and support. So I highly recommend that as well. So that completes the first key to effectively launching your business into an entirely new playing field. So given that that's what that completes. I'm gonna just take a moment, look to see if anybody has any questions. Please note that the next area that we're going to be moving into is strategy. So strategy by far is going to be probably the most time-consuming and challenging key of them all. Strategically creating something to successfully launch your business to a new playing field takes time. You can't do this just slap a bunch of strategies on a piece of paper and then say, all right, let's do it. You can't do that. It takes something. So we're going to talk about what's the kind of thinking process that you want to take yourself through to really create a powerful strategy with your business. And that's it. So that's what we're moving into session number 2 of 3. And I'm just going to move here, see if anybody has posted any comments or questions or anything like that. Again, if you have any questions, at the bottom of this webinar Facebook page that you're watching, at the very bottom, there's a section where you can ask questions. It's a comment section. You may not have any questions or comments. And if you don't, no problem. But I'm just going to take a moment. And if we do, I'll take a moment to answer those questions. Otherwise, we're pretty close to finalizing this up. Stand by. Okay. So it looks like no questions. Okay. I invite you to share this with people. People can always watch this recording and watch session 2 and 3. Highly valuable for people. You don't want to miss out on next session, strategy. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday to launch strategy, okay? So just have an exceptional day, guys. Bye.